How did a man from Soviet Tajikistan become the most dangerous arms dealer in modern history? He wasn't a drug lord or a mob boss. He was something worse. He sold weapons to both sides of brutal civil wars, fueled genocide, and supplied terrorists. They called him the Merchant of Death. This is the true story of a man who built an empire on weapons, chaos, and blood. The real Lord of War.
Viktor Bout.
Viktor Bout.
Viktor Bout.
What's up? I'm Richard. If you're new here, I cover all kinds of crime stories, from imaginary wind farms to shady Russian agents. If you enjoy that kind of content, consider subscribing. But now, let's get into today's story. Viktor Anatolyevich Bout was born in 1967 in Soviet Tajikistan. His childhood was shadowy, and that mystery still fuels speculation. Was he groomed by the KGB? Was he just another soldier who saw opportunity? Nobody knows for sure. But by the 1980s, Bout was in Moscow studying at the Military Institute of Foreign Languages. He became fluent in 6 languages: Russian, English, Portuguese, French, Arabic, and Farsi. It was the perfect skill set for a future arms broker. But history shifted in 1991. The Soviet Union collapsed. Overnight, one of the world's largest superpowers dissolved into fragments. Borders shifted, economies crashed, and most importantly, arsenals were abandoned. Mountains of rifles, warehouses of rocket launchers, helicopters, tanks, even aircrafts, all sitting unsupervised in crumbling bases across Eastern Europe. To most, it was chaos. To Viktor Bout, it was gold. At just 28, he founded his first air cargo company. He bought up old Soviet transport planes, massive Antonovs and Ilyushins that could carry tons of cargo across continents. To the world, he was just another cargo man, moving food, flowers, and aid. But behind the paperwork, his planes carried something far deadlier: weapons. He started small. A shipment here, a few crates there. But very quickly, he realized the money wasn't in moving chickens, it was in moving AK-47s, RPG launchers, and anti-aircraft guns. And the world was ready to pay. Africa in the 90s was drowning in war. Civil wars in Angola, Sierra Leone, and Liberia created a hunger for guns, and Bout fed them all. He delivered arms to both sides, making profit no matter who lived or died. In Sierra Leone, his planes delivered weapons to the Revolutionary United Front, a rebel group infamous for brutal violence and the use of child soldiers. Payment came in blood diamonds, gold for grenades, cash for chaos. Everywhere there was conflict, Bout was there. His planes landed in jungle airstrips, desert runways, and abandoned fields. War was his business, and business was booming. By the late 1990s, Viktor Bout's operation had transformed into a global empire of arms trafficking. At his peak, he had up to 60 planes and hundreds of employees. His companies were spread across the globe, each a shell designed to hide the real purpose: smuggling weapons. Liberia, the UAE, Equatorial Guinea, Swaziland, everywhere had a Bout company. And with multiple passports and countless aliases, he was nearly impossible to trace. Butov, Bulikin, Amanov, he could be anyone anywhere. But what made him truly dangerous wasn't just the guns, it was his connections. Reports say he sold $50 million worth of weapons to the Taliban in the late 90s. Those weapons armed fighters who later sheltered Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. Bout's planes moved arms into Sudan during its bloody civil war. In the Congo, Rwanda, and the Central African Republic, his deliveries fueled massacres that claimed hundreds of thousands of lives. One British minister called him Africa's chief merchant of death. And the nickname stuck. The press turned him into a legend, the Merchant of Death. Bout was bold. Sometimes his planes carried United Nations peacekeepers by day, only to smuggle weapons to the very warlords those peacekeepers were fighting at night. It was a double life. Humanitarian on paper, arms dealer in reality. When asked about the blood on his hands, Bout dismissed it with a chilling shrug. If I didn't do it, someone else would. But the world was taking notice. By the mid-2000s, Viktor Bout was running out of room to hide. The US Treasury blacklisted his companies. Interpol tracked his movements. But Bout stayed ahead until American agents devised a plan unlike anything before. If they couldn't catch him, they would lure him. They carried out Operation Relentless. The DEA created a fake deal posing as Colombian FARC rebels. They approached Bout's associate with an order so big it was irresistible. 30,000 rifles, 10 million rounds of ammunition, grenade launchers, and 800 surface-to-air missiles. Weapons that would be used, they said, to kill Americans. For months, the trap was set. Secret meetings, promises of millions, until finally, Viktor Bout himself agreed to meet. The 6th of March, 2008. Bangkok, Thailand. In that hotel room, the undercover agents laid out maps and targets. Bout didn't hesitate. He promised weapons. He explained how he could airdrop crates into the jungle. He offered trainers to help FARC fighters use the weapons. And when told these arms would kill Americans, he sealed his fate with 4 words. We have the same enemy. That was all the agents needed. Moments later, the door exploded open. Thai police stormed in. Bout was thrown to the ground. The Merchant of Death was finally in custody. But his arrest triggered a new war, a political war. Russia demanded his release. Moscow claimed Bout was an innocent businessman, a victim of a US plot. Behind closed doors, Russian officials pushed hard to bring him home. The Americans refused. For 2 years, Bout fought extradition in Thai courts. But in 2010, the decision came. He would be sent to New York. In 2011, Viktor Bout sat in a US courtroom, staring down a jury. Recordings played of his voice promising weapons, admitting Americans were his enemy. The evidence was crushing. After 3 weeks, the jury returned its verdict. Guilty on all counts. In April 2012, Bout was sentenced to 25 years in a US prison. The Merchant of Death was locked away. Or so the world thought. For 10 years, Bout sat behind bars. He insisted he was innocent. He told reporters, "I'll get back to Russia. I don't know when, but I'm still young." It sounded like fantasy. Until 2022. That year, Russia arrested American basketball star Brittney Griner. And when the US tried to negotiate her release, Russia made its demand crystal clear: Viktor Bout. The 8th of December 2022. On an airport runway in Abu Dhabi, 2 figures walked past each other. One, a US athlete heading home. The other, the world's most notorious arms dealer, walking free. The swap shocked the world. America had traded a basketball player for the Merchant of Death. Russia celebrated, and Viktor Bout returned home a hero. But what he did next surprised everyone. Within days, Bout joined Russia's far-right Liberal Democratic Party. By 2023, he was elected to a regional legislature. From arms dealer to politician, the transformation was stunning. But rumors began almost immediately. Reports suggested Bout might be back in the arms game, linked to talks about supplying weapons in Yemen. Russian officials deny it. Bout insists he's retired. But can a man who built the largest illegal arms empire in modern history ever really walk away? Or is he simply waiting for the next war? And if so, I'll be here to tell it. So subscribe.